This is actually a really interesting topic because...
I think she's amazing.
One story that really caught my attention this week.
My story relates to a particular TV.
It's going to take away a lot of jobs.
Week in Review.
Exactly that. It's time for Week in Review here on the show. So this is where I'm joined in the studio with two Londoners. We discuss their stories of the week. And of course, I always like to hear from you as well on 0800 731 2000. Joining me this afternoon is our resident technology and social media expert. He's also the CEO of Rocket, James Erskine, alongside Dr. Tej Samani, who is CEO and founder of Performance Learning. Tej and James, great to have you both here. Thanks for coming in today.
It's great to be here.
Thanks for having
us.
So first question for you both.
Yeah.
I'll come to you, James. How was it getting in? Have you been affected by the tube strikes,
Yes.
either today or throughout the week?
Definitely throughout the week, and it's been it's been funny running a small business as I do. Lots of the team have remarked to me how it's kind of similar to the COVID lockdown vibes. We've all worked from home. We're all set up to work remotely.
Yeah.
But we haven't had people to bounce off each other in the office. We have stayed at home. I had an appointment on Monday night I couldn't get to.
Oh dear.
I got a couple of buses and they were pretty busy here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been frustrating. Funnily enough, one of my stories touches on the tube
I
strikes.
know.
So,
yes, we will come to that for sure. And what? Thank you for that. And then Tej, how has it been for you?
Yeah,
this
likewise.
week?
But pretty much exactly the same. Parking bills have gone through the roof because I've been driving in everywhere. So it's a lovely £6 an hour Westminster parking, which is just clocked up in the congestion charge. So
yeah.
I'm ignoring that one for now. Fortunately, all my meetings this week have been in London Bridge. So I managed to get the overground.
Okay.
So I've been okay. But as for the team, it's work from home. Similar situation. It just kind of, everyone started regressing a little bit back to COVID days where it was work from home and just feeling a bit trapped, not being able to move. So I get it. And we're all welcoming tomorrow.
Yes.
And even then, of course,
it's going to be tough tomorrow.
It is in the morning. The morning rush hour is not going to be that great. And then, obviously, as we understand it, hopefully by the afternoon, things will be back to normal.
Yeah.
I don't know, James. The other aspect to this is I found coming in to London, speaking to everybody here in the office and otherwise, the mood hasn't been as great, and that's not surprising, but just how much transport can affect Londoners on a day-to-day basis is quite something else.
It's funny. I'd really agree with that. Don't know. I thought it might have been me. I do think you're right. For whatever reason, and maybe this is prying too deep into my own head, but the frustrations of everyday life have definitely affected me more this week.
Yeah.
And with the tube strike, there have been more frustrations. When technology's not worked on meetings, that's been, the tube strike. When stuff hasn't gone according to plan. When my little boy was running late to get home for an after-school club yesterday, I rolled my eyes. I didn't have compassion. I didn't have empathy. The world got to me, and I think you're right. It might be the change in weather too, but I do think the frustrations of everyday life have impacted the mood of Londoners. Yes.
I haven't seen many people smiling, Tej. What's your perspective?
Exactly the same, because it's the life, it's the sort of the veins and the blood and everything of the city.
Yeah.
And it stops. And it's also stopped the first week really back after summer. Schools have come back. You've got the stress of back to school. Couple all of that, you've just got this perfect cocktail of just mentalness that's taking place, and it just, everyone's miserable. Weather's changing. We're now heading into the realization that we've got, and forgive me for saying this, 15 Fridays before Christmas.
Wow.
That mentality's kicked in of...
Did you just say that?
I know.
15 Fridays.
Hate me for it, but it's just that reality check that August is done.
Yeah.
Summer's finished, and now we're heading into that winter stretch. And there's already so much going on, so it really was the last thing that London needed right now.
And I don't want to keep this all doom and gloom, I promise you, okay, because I know you've got some fantastic stories that we are going to delve into, but I've been discussing this throughout the whole afternoon. Maybe this has a part to play in, the way that Londoners are feeling. After 4, I'm going to be joined in the studio with Satnam Sanghera. He's an award-winning author, and we'll be talking about his new book, which is called Journeys of Empire. He really delves into the whole conversation of the British Empire, what it means to be British. And of course, in the news, there's been so much discussion surrounding flags, British history, English identity. I really wanted to get both of your takes on this. I'm going to come to you first, James. Have you seen any St George's flags or Union Jacks coming up in and around London, popping up where you've probably never seen them before?
I must confess, I haven't. I live in Islington, and there has not been much flag raising or flag waving that I have noticed in around where I live. And I don't know what that says. It's an incredibly diverse population, or pretty diverse. There are some very rich bits, some very poor bits in Islington. So you do kind of get every walk of life. What I would say more broadly is I do think in politics there seems to have been what I would term a footballification of politics.
Okay.
So in the same way people are incredibly tribal about their football teams, they are incredibly tribal about what they believe, who they support. People are either good or bad. And that's almost taken to the obvious extent of we can wave a flag, just like you do at an international football match.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say. Now, inherently, and I'm guilty of it, or I'm proud of it, depending on where one ends up with this, I have an England kit at home. I put on my England shirt when England play football and I watch it on the telly. I have had a St George's cross. Outside of 4 England games, outside of that, I cannot imagine a time where I would want to raise my England flag. I cannot imagine when I would want to raise a Union flag. So it's confusing to me as to why it is happening. And I do think, therefore, there must be a reason for it. And depending on that reason for it, it is either to express pride and excitement and joy of the country that you live in and therefore everything about that country, or it's to cause some kind of intimidation. I'm not 100% sure which it is. Then there's the kind of comedy aspects. There was an interview with Yvette Cooper where she was asked, does she have flags?
Yeah.
When did this become a requirement to be a government minister? Her response was equally farcical. I think she said she had bunting. I mean, I was laughing. Oh, yes, we have a Union flag tablecloth. We have St George's cross above our bathroom toilet. You know, where does it end and where does it stop? I don't think that it should be a prerequisite for being a patriot and proud of every single part of this country to wave a flag.
The last time I remember when I wore it, and I was talking about this on air actually, is probably the first time, unless like my parents put me in a Union Jack flag, I don't remember as a child, but when Geri Halliwell in the Spice Girls came on with her fantastic Union Jack kind of, mini dress, I just remember, that being at school, we had fancy dress, we had some parties, and that's all I wanted to wear. Not necessarily understanding much about it other than that, well, hold on, I'm British, that's my flag, I'm going to wear it.
So funny you raise a Brit Awards Union flag story, because funnily enough, my first, and it shows what a sheltered life I had, but probably the first time I became conscious of British identity was the Brit Awards. Annie Lennox, I forget which year, I would guess 99, could have been 98, won the best international contributor. She came out in a Union flag coat, and she gave a speech about Stephen Lawrence. And I was really struck by the contrast of the two. It was funny. Are we representing a multicultural society? So it's funny that both you and I go back to different Brit Awards.
Yes, absolutely. But that pride for some people is, as you've mentioned earlier, tribalistic. For others, it's just, their passport. What's your take on this, Tej?
So I counted 75 flags across all of the lampposts where I live.
Wow.
75 flags?
75 gone up, yeah. We're covered completely.
And what part of London are you in?
I'm in Greater London.
Okay.
North.
Yep.
So the 3 areas that were reported to have the majority of the flags being put up, I'm in one of them.
Okay.
So I had no idea. I had family come home and said, did you see the flags? I'm thinking, what have you eaten? What flags? And then I drove out and thought, wow. And it was an interesting response, because I think I can utterly agree with everything you said. I think it's too early to tell what the undercurrent is behind the meaning of these flags all of a sudden being put up. But for me personally, one, I think it looks fantastic. Literally, it was celebratory. I'm British. I'm proud to be British. I was born and raised here. I'm a Londoner, so I couldn't help feeling a sense of this feels great. What are we celebrating? And then obviously the back of your head dialogue kicks in with a little bit of anxiety creeping in, going, why? And what's going to happen? And this was mobilized, certainly where we live, like that. And these have been put up properly, with intention, professionally. They're not just, they are stuck to the lamppost. So I think it's going to be a wait and see moment. I think we were discussing this outside. I do think, especially with, very tragically what's happened in the US recently, I think we are at a really, and especially what's happening over London over the weekend, I think we are at a tipping point. And I'm just hoping that we can cling on to the sense of pride and the healthy sense of patriotism that we all feel.
Of course, when you had, like, for example, the Queen's Jubilee, we had flags dotted all across London.
It's stunning and it's nice.
And it's beautiful. But you just mentioned at the beginning of that point, Tej, that when your family members came over, they saw all of these flags. You counted 75 flags in your part of North London, which had kind of gone up in let's say 24 to 36 hours.
When I went to bed the night before, they weren't there. I drive through. I'm not conscious of looking at lampposts when I drive through. But you couldn't miss this. And
so, was there any member of the family who had a different thought process to yourself? You've just said, and some people would say that as a brown man, it's something that a lot of brown people are feeling right now, that they need to justify. Well, I was born here, so I am proud. Did anyone else feel any differently to you around these flags?
Yes.
And what did they say?
The initial knee-jerk reaction wasn't positive, and that actually affected me a lot, because I'm looking at this and saying, well, firstly, let's just suspend judgment for a while. There is a lot of complexity happening in the political landscape. There's a lot of complexity. There's a lot of noise happening, and we are at this really, extreme moment in history. Can we just suspend judgment for a minute, because we are at this tipping point? And for me personally, I was getting frustrated at them, and I'm the same, and saying, look, waving a flag is a sense of pride, and there is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong for me being proud, and I certainly don't feel I have to justify it. We're yet to see why this has gone up and what the undercurrent is, and I'm just suspending judgment on that for now. Surface level, looks great.
I think with the background of migration, with immigration, it's tough to think that this is happening as organically as 75 flags would suggest. There has to be some people behind it that want this to happen.
Of course.
Therefore, it's some kind of a movement, and most movements stand for something. So you have to ask the question, what does this movement stand for? I'd also raise a question, and I think it's fairly obvious where I'm coming from on this, but where does free speech stop and free speech start? If it's free speech to raise a flag, is it not also free speech to take a flag down if you feel like it is threatening someone?
I'm going to ask you a really hard question, because I didn't quite know how to answer this myself, but I'm going to ask both of you to answer it in the shortest way possible. What does it mean to be British, James?
Open-minded and open-hearted.
What about you, Tej?
Democratic, openness, inclusion, tolerance, patience, all of the above times 10.
0800 731 2000. Share your thoughts, and thank you both. I know that was putting you on the spot a little. We'll continue with your stories of the week in the next half an hour.